So, do you love this Bionicle piece? Well, you don't, because it's not a Bionicle piece. It's a Hero Factory piece, but it is a piece that I quite like, and I actually think really fits the aesthetic of 2008 Bionicle, having these little jets on the back. Obviously, the Mystica and the Fantoka flew, so having those on characters is really nice. Have you ever wanted this piece in new colors? We're in a little bit of a renaissance when it comes to knockoff pieces for Bionicle, pieces like this. Now, this is not a knockoff. This is an official Bionicle piece. This is Pearl Silver, and it's from the bulk Hero Factory 1.0 set. Later versions of it would come in modern flat silver. But I'm going to show you today some sets that I think you might be interested in checking out on AliExpress that come with this piece in a few new colors. And there's more. Now, I'm not going to show everything in this video, otherwise it would be too long. But let's just go ahead and get right on into it. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe. Helps out the channel tremendously. And if you watched the video about this build specifically and you've wanted to follow up on this, that's kind of what this video is. So this is sort of a series about these figures specifically. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead, hop on over here to AliExpress. And I've got this one right here highlighted because I've actually placed an order for this set. It is worth noting that these just released at the beginning of October or middle of October. So they have not been on the market for very long. As you can see here, 4 of these have sold apparently, but I'm interested in this one that you see on screen specifically. A friend of mine, friend of the channel here, Zion Tyros, has ordered the white figure as well. So we're going to collaborate a bit, or collaborate's probably not the right word. We're going to communicate back and forth. I'd be open for a collaboration, absolutely. But communicate back and forth to try and figure out what is notable about these figures. Specifically here, all of the figures with white backgrounds are brand new, and these are the ones we're focused on, but it is worth noting that there are some other really cool figures from Wave 1. So Wave 1, this blue figure right here with the dragon heads on it, the red figure here, the green figure, which I have, and I have reviewed on the channel to high praise. It's a fantastic set. And this black character here. All of these are from Wave 1. All of them have some really exciting pieces. I'm like crying with how cool Wave 2 is, because there's maybe even more in Wave 2 that I'm very excited for. We're going to go ahead and scroll down for a moment because there's something very special about the blue one and the white one, which is why I'm excited to talk about why I ordered them. But as you can see here, the red one, it's sort of, what makes it special is kind of 2 things, right? A heavy emphasis on orange this time around, so not quite as much gold as the previous red one. And it's worth noting that this has the Hero Factory 1.0 foot in orange, a brand new color for that piece. Also, if you're an Invasion from Below fan, which I am, it's my favorite wave of Hero Factory, you also get orange jumper shells here. So that's fantastic. It means you can make jumpers in more colors. Some previous sets also came with them in other colors too, including gold and trans blue. So that's really fantastic, but it's lovely to see them being used more and more here. And I just want to emphasize too, I've only built one of these so far, but the head builds have been phenomenal. So I cannot wait to get another one of these in hand so I can review them. I think these are probably the best brick built sort of 45-degree angle heads that I have interacted with so far. But again, I will reserve that thought for future videos. There's plenty else here though to love. Obviously it's got 6 arms on it, which I think is really cool, or at least 5, but I'm pretty sure there are 6. 5 weapons, and then one it looks like is an empty hand. And each of these figures seems to have some kind of small, I don't want to say transformation feature, but some of them have like methods of like rebuilding them with the parts included to make like a more powered up version of the original figure. So it's not a full breakdown and rebuild, but that's still pretty cool and respectable. There's a lot of love that this company feels like has been putting into this wave of sets, and I'm really excited to continue following it. First off here, not only do you get those orange feet, those orange jumper shells, you also get a red Hero Factory Brain Attack visor piece, solid red. That's cool. It's a new color for that piece. The other wave, the one I reviewed, had a gold one, so 2 recolors of that piece in here as well, and some lovely little weapons here, a white sword piece, a black sword piece. Really lovely stuff, and I love the dichotomy there. But it's also worth noting that this says noctilescent. That's a cool word. I have no idea if I pronounced it right, but it glows in the dark. Some pieces on here. In fact, all of the stuff that you see on here in this sort of green shade, in this image specifically, should, in theory, glow in the dark. Now, I don't want to say that the glow in the dark is a phenomenal feature here. It's fine. It's acceptable. Some of them are a compromise, let's say, because to add more glow in the dark to something usually means you're sacrificing some transparency, and this brand has opted to make those parts fairly transparent, which means less glow in the dark than it probably could be, but it's still respectable, it's still noticeable, and I will take it, because in this case here, glow in the dark is basically just an added bonus. It doesn't really distract from any of the pieces because it's not so overt, but as far as I can tell, all of the glow in the dark pieces glow green specifically, so I don't use any other glow-in-the-dark colors. They just opt for green. So, you know, fair enough, right? Moving on, though, the one I really want to focus on, as I've mentioned already here, blue, the one that I've ordered, because the blue one comes with a little dragon build. It's a few pieces, not a crazy amount, but it's respectable for sure. The white one also comes with a small wolf build as well, but there are some notable pieces in these sets. For one thing here, the blue one has these Hero Factory 1.0 feet. Now, I don't know exactly what color this is. For the sake of the video, I'm going to say sand blue, but I don't have the pieces in hand to be able to verify that, so I just don't know. Hopefully, they're sand blue. It's a lovely, lovely color, and there's just not a lot of support for it from Bionicle specifically, but there is some, and I will take that, right? That said, though, you can see the Hero Factory foot actually used pretty creatively in the torso as well. I've done something similar to this in the past, and I love to see it. I believe this is blue, but some pictures, the color balance is a little weird, so in some pictures it looks slightly purplish. It's really hard to tell. I'm just going to assume blue here. We can also see one more Hero Factory foot used as sort of the bottom jaw of the dragon. That's a good use of that part, I think. It gives you a little bit of a beard on the underside, and those little jet cones on the bottom of the feet almost act as like fangs coming off the bottom. It's a really lovely use of that piece. Not the first time I've seen it used that way in knockoff sets, but it is something I appreciate. And it seems to be white, so I imagine it's not a recolor unless they have their own proprietary shade of white, but still nice to have extras of those pieces. However, there is another foot on the set. In fact, 4 of them in yellow. I don't know what shade of yellow because I don't have this in hand, but judging from the set that I previously bought, which had some yellow pieces in it, it is going to be Keat Orange. And I say that because the previous set, the yellow pieces in that set were Keat Orange. That's wonderful. Keat Orange is a lovely color, obviously used quite heavily in latter years of Bionicle, and getting a foot, let alone 4 of them in that color, and a desirable foot piece as well. Not only is that an extra color, an extra bit of support, but it's also kind of a weapon too. Paraka claws, very easy to use as weapons. So it's kind of playing double duty because you're getting feet and claws, right? Then moving on, you can see we have a little bit of a sort of updated form, a little janky, I'm not going to lie, but there's another version that I saw that's beefed up a bit more than this right here, which does actually look quite nice. So I will be trying, assuming it comes with instructions for all 3, I will be building all 3 of these to showcase them on the channel here. That said, though, we also have the Bionicle Generation 2 Skull Spider Foot Claw piece. It only comes in gunmetal and some transparent colors from Lego, but here you can see it probably in that Keat Orange color as well, so again, notable. But CCBS shells, that's another really fantastic thing about the set, because the dragon contains trans blue CCBS shells, and as far as I know, they are all glow in the dark. And that is pretty wonderful. First off, some of these shells, like these C-style torso shell pieces, don't know exactly what they're called, don't even come in a transparent blue color. I don't even think they come in any transparent color. So having them here in this trans light blue or some shade of blue is nice, right? It's added extra support for that color as well. And what shade of blue that is, I don't know. But if it glows in the dark too, that's pretty great, not gonna lie. You also get the fur pieces from, I think either Chima or Brain Attack might have introduced those. Maybe it would have been earlier though. You get some of the knee shin guard pieces from the Star Wars sets, and obviously used elsewhere as well. And you get a bunch of those in that trans blue. It also glows in the dark. Plenty here that is glow in the dark. Plenty of wonderful things to see. So I cannot wait for this to get here. I'm super excited for it. Super excited to review this set on the channel. And then moving on from here, there's clearly stuff on this set that I've missed. I have not looked at the back side of this character like at all. But moving on to this one, at first, I was a little disappointed by this one because it has a lot of recolors from previous waves, which is fair, and it has a lot of I shouldn't say recolors, sorry, reused parts from previous waves. And it also reuses some parts in some pretty common colors that LEGO already makes, like these feet pieces. They're great feet, but they already come in black from LEGO, so not really anything new here. You do get this, I'm assuming, greenish colored sword here, which may be identical to the sword used in the set that I bought, which is this sword, but it might be a different shade of green. This is sort of a I would call it trans dark green. That's probably the closest LEGO color to it, but again, because the piece glows in the dark, it's a little bit different. Moving back to this, though, you do see on the weapon, we have one in a probably trans orange color. I only say that because the piece directly below it is a piece used in a previous set in that color. And again, it's just less expensive if they reuse parts. Nothing wrong with doing that, by the way, but it's just worth noting where it is seen, right? That said, though, the figure looks still really good, really solid as a figure. However, I did see a picture on the back of this, and that right there in white is Furno's Brain Attack helmet, which is a lovely helmet design, by the way. So seeing that here used in white, phenomenal recolor. I've seen a few Brain Attack enemy mask pieces recolored, but I don't think I've seen any of the hero helmet pieces recolored yet. So having this one recolored is fantastic. It's also worth noting too that the Furno Brain Attack helmet is the only one that's backwards compatible with the Glatorian head, if that's something you wanted out of them. So it's nice to have options there. But yeah, really lovely to see that. Lovely to see it in a brand new color in white. White is also a very easy to use color. So all things told, pretty fantastic. And that kind of saves the set for me, honestly, because it's a desirable piece in my opinion. Moving down though from here, the build itself does look good. I'm not going to complain about it. The visor piece being glow in the dark is really fantastic. I think the white one comes with glow in the dark ones too, and they're trans blue. So you get options there. This is kind of a trans orange color. I don't know that it matches one that LEGO made because they've made one in trans orange, but I believe LEGO's was trans neon orange. This is much closer to trans, just regular orange. And in fact, I can show you that color as well from both sets because I have pieces from LEGO in trans orange and pieces from this brand in trans orange. And they're really similar. The only difference, although on camera this one appears to be more saturated, is the opposite is true actually. LEGO's is ever so slightly more saturated than this one. However, LEGO's trans orange also has a decent amount of variation even within LEGO. So this is a color that I would say is a match to LEGO because it's within LEGO tolerance, if that makes sense. So getting back into this, that means that visor piece would be that trans orange color most likely. And in that case, I think that's a new color for that piece. And that's a welcome addition. I'm not a big fan of those visors in general, but it's always nice to have extras of them. Also, the clutch power on them is phenomenal. It's better than LEGO's. So that's worth noting as well. And then again, the white one is going to come with 2 on the knees, as you can see here in, again, that trans blue color. Probably the same trans blue that's used on the water or blue character, the one that I've ordered. This one, I believe right here is the one that Zion Tyros ordered. I do apologize if I say that name wrong, by the way. But really lovely. Also worth noting too, it looks like I'm seeing some dark turquoise pieces here. Now, again, because I don't have this set, I don't know that they're a match. But if they are a match, this is a phenomenal set because there are CCBS shell pieces in the set. It looks like at least 3, potentially 4, though, in that dark turquoise color. Plus these shell add-on pieces, too, which were not made in that color from LEGO. So really wonderful to get both of those pieces in this set. Some really cool things going on with some fairly recent panels from LEGO obviously being used here. And then you've got like what are these called? Quasi spikes? What are these called again? I don't remember. But in the trans blue color as well. Brand new color for that piece. Some Technic mudguard pieces or fender pieces in the trans blue. Borak eyes in trans blue. Not a new color, but if they glow in the dark, that's not a bad idea to get that. And even that, I don't remember if the shell piece here ever appeared in gold. I'm not positive if it did or not. Again, the gold in these sets is not my favorite shade. It's knockoff gold. It's not a perfect match for LEGO's Pearl Gold, but it's usable. So I'm not going to knock on it too much here. That said, the wolf build also comes with a scrawl shell, another fantastic. One of my favorite Bionicle pieces, and it comes with it in white. So you're getting at least one of those in this set. That's phenomenal, in my opinion. So, yeah, overall, some really fantastic sets here. It's also worth noting, too, some CCBS bone pieces in this, maybe sand blue, but honestly, again, hard for me to know exactly what color this is. Potentially even Glatorian necks. I don't know that. I'm just throwing that into the ether so that maybe it's a reality. And it looks like there's even one of those gold shield pieces. I use them on the Ornithopter, which again, I conveniently placed out of range for me. So really lovely pieces. They do come in gold from Lego, so, you know, but it's nice to have them here either way. All right, moving on. I think that's the end of that list. But if we take it all the way back up to the top here, as I mentioned, plenty of other figures. You really can't go wrong with any of them. Now, I do want to mention that they are kind of pricey, right? They're actually not as bad as they seem. $19 to $23, $24, whatever, is a lot to pay for these sets, but they're usually around 300 to 400 pieces. So in terms of price to parts, it's on par with what you'd expect from Lego. I didn't address this in the previous video either. Again, he's got some parts taken off him, but he's quite dense too. Actually picking up this character and holding it compared to like a Bionicle Agori set or something like that. Like this guy is twice as heavy as this. I could weigh it, but I'm using my scale right now. So, but like literally twice as heavy, maybe more. It's quite phenomenal how dense this is. And I've taken several pieces off of this set. So knowing just how heavy this is, and then understanding that it's probably missing like half of its weight, is really respectable. And it's also worth noting too that I really enjoyed the build of this guy. It's not the most complicated, but it's not straightforward either. It is a build that I think involves your attention pretty well from start to finish, has some pretty clever choices, some clever sort of shifts in direction of certain parts, and overall was just very enjoyable to build. Like I said, it's one thing if a set comes out with recolors. I'm usually always going to prop it up, especially if they're high quality recolors, which this one very much is. But it's another thing worth commending when it's not just recolors, but it's also high quality. And the quality here speaks for itself. None of the parts in this set were bad. I did want to make a correction though, because in the video where I reviewed the set, I said this piece was not breaking on me. And it did actually break. In a small way, there is a small crack that has developed at the end of the socket. And so, yeah, it is worth calling that out. But again, it hasn't broken completely. I can still use the piece. The friction is fine on it. And it hasn't broken more than that. Could it break more than that? I don't know, maybe. And of course, that means that I'm going to play it a little more carefully with this type of socket. But at the end of the day, Lego's version of this type of socket sucks too. So what standard can I hold this to exactly? I was happy when I thought it wasn't going to break until it did crack. And I was like, okay, it met my expectation then. So I'm not going to, accuse the set of being bad quality if it breaks in a way that Lego sets also break. That said, really phenomenal sets. I don't think that you will regret picking one of these up. However, if you're able to pick these up cheaper on sale, maybe using a welcome deal or using coupons, then there are plenty of places where you can find Wave 1 for much cheaper than what you've seen on screen here. Again, the Wave 2 set's $23. This is probably the cheapest you're going to find these right now. However, the Wave 1 set's $19. I've seen them for about half of that price, just on other stores on AliExpress. So I would definitely say maybe search the images for these characters specifically. AliExpress does let you do that by just going up here and dragging and dropping an image. So you can literally just click and save this image and then paste it right back up here. Find it in another store. Save yourself some money. Find the best deal you can, or find a store that has good reviews, whatever the case may be, and pick one up. If you don't want them, that's fine too. I'm not going to tell you what you have to buy. But I do think that if you are on the fence about buying these figures, but you just don't know if they're going to be good or not, I do only own one, so I can only speak for the one I own. But it was wonderful. It was a fantastic experience. And although they're not Bionicle sets, it did give me a little bit of that feeling. And that's rare these days. Anyway, before I end the video, I did want to go ahead and showcase something I have shown in other videos before, involving the Hero Factory 1.0 foot. because it is a foot that I think is plagued by one decision of Legos, and that was to add the axle facing upright here so that the socket can only go in one way. But thankfully, Lego made it where it was hollow in the center here. And so if you push this piece all the way through the center, just like this, so the socket is at the bottom, and you take one of these axle lever pieces, I don't know what else to call it, and insert it from the front here. It's a little hard for me to show this on camera, but I'm trying to choose some good colors here. And then you just go ahead and push that all the way in. A little hard for me to do, again, looking straight at the camera, but you'll see that the axle comes through the other side. That socket is now locked in place, and it's actually really sturdy. Because I don't own the knockoffs of this piece, I don't know that that's going to apply to the knockoffs, but at the very least, they'll still work like normal Lego ones with the official connection. And it's worth noting, too, that today we took a look at least 3 recolors. Sorry, no, at least 2 recolors of that piece, notably orange and sand blue. But there are sets on AliExpress that have at least 2 more recolors of this piece. In fact, 3. I've seen this piece used in gold in past sets. I've also seen it used in dark blue, though I don't know if it matches Lego's dark blue, so I can't speak to that. And olive green, which I've had word actually does match Lego's olive green. That's pretty fantastic. Again, a rare color from Lego. With all that said, that's going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed the video, again, please subscribe. Helps the channel out tremendously, and it sounded way more like I was begging, so I'll just lean into that. Please subscribe. That said, of course, you can also leave a like, and again, check out the link for the description, or in the description for this, and over on the Discord. I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.